Welcome back to Recharge, powered by RE/MAX of Michigan, where it's all about real stories, real strategies, real estate. My name is Kaylee Wilkinson, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Ashley Dane. Today's episode is a special one as we have the opportunity to unveil the curtain on something that every agent, broker, and manager has experienced, but may not really appreciate what happens behind the scenes. So when you think about our regional conferences, fall sales conferences, tech tours, charity golf outings, there's one person that orchestrates it all. And today we're joined by the woman who makes the magic happen, Regional Events Director, Ashley McCann. Ashley, welcome to Recharge.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for having me. It is an honor.
What a treat. This is fun.
I know. Yes. Welcome. Yes. So before we dive into the logistics of what you do at the region, let's start with you. Where did your passion for event planning begin?
Yes. So that is a story. It actually begins back in college at Western Michigan University. I had my first job in college as a campus tour guide. So I worked with the Office of Admissions, gave campus tours, went to college fairs, and long story short, that all developed into me wanting a master's in higher education and student affairs. I wanted to work on a college campus. I loved my alma mater. I wanted to stay and work there. So
I don't know where this story is going, but I'm so glad it changed.
So I got my master's, and my first full-time position after getting my master's was back at the Office of Admissions, where I gave campus tours. But as a full-time employee, as assistant director of admissions, and did recruiting and high school visits, but also planned their university open houses and some of their recruiting events on campus. So that is essentially where my journey into event coordination began, was with these recruiting events and these university open houses.
Wow. That makes sense. So was this always the path for you then, or did you discover along the way that you liked bringing, whether it be students or adults, everybody together for an event?
Yeah, no, I definitely discovered it along the way. Got to realize my strengths in college and that I was detail-oriented, and I enjoyed coordinating lots of different logistics. I enjoyed being under pressure, and that I thrived under pressure. So
what
certainly
a rare choice.
Yeah, certainly didn't know that about myself, but developed that and realized that as we went along. So certainly I loved, again, working at Western, but what I really thrived in was just in those situations, planning with events and different fine details and minute details that all come together to make the experience.
Yeah. So like you said, there are a lot of fine details and logistics behind it. But when did you realize that an event is more than just logistics? It's more about an experience.
Yeah, I think, of course, in my first role planning events at the university, that was all about bringing them to the university and showing them how wonderful the university is, right? That's about the experience, not just, I planned some things, I put this all together, and here we are. That's making sure they have an impactful experience on campus.
Yeah.
So, and now in my current role with RE/MAX, that is entirely different. Because now that I've been here for over 8 years, which is crazy to say, I've gotten to know so many of the brokers and agents. And so it's like you're planning events and seeing people at these events. So it's just a very different environment.
Yeah. And I mean, you went to Western, and so you're very familiar with the campuses and the ins and outs of that university. And so I'm sure you had a lot of knowledge based on your job too for after college. And so what makes planning events for RE/MAX in Michigan different than planning for anything else?
Right. Yeah, I think kind of what I just mentioned about how I have this now rapport and relationship with a lot of our members, where I didn't, in the previous role, I didn't have that. I was just planning for people that were coming to the event, and now I'm seeing the people and interacting with them and hugging them, and it's just it's like a big family. So it's much different environment in the fact that I've gotten to know them, and we all are a big RE/MAX family. Yeah.
So from the outside, the events that you put on truly look seamless, but behind the scenes, there's a million different moving parts. Tell us a little bit about the teamwork that goes into making these events a reality.
Absolutely. It is 100% a team effort. It is not just me. It is constant collaboration with our regional staff, our leadership team. I mean, if we can kind of go back a little bit into, Mike Metzner, our regional owner, for many years planned our events. And so there's history there, and he is still very involved in the planning process of our events, which I think is something that makes them very special, is that we do have an engaged leader who is still helping select venues and honestly helping select menu items. And people might not realize that, but we love that. We want him engaged and involved, and that's what makes our events special and unique. And so, absolutely coordination with the team, our leadership. I rely heavily on Sarah Troop, our advertising and communications director, who, again, has years of experience with our region and with our events. And so we bounce back and forth ideas, especially when it comes to regional conference, because we work closely on the gala together, for instance. But absolutely, I could not do it by myself, and it is 100% a team effort. So, and I'm grateful to be part of such a wonderful team.
Yes.
So.
Well, we're grateful to have you do it. Yes. Now, at RE/MAX, we don't just host events for events' sakes. There's intention here, and it's to help our agents really give them what they need to propel themselves to be the top of the industry. Events, in a way, they're almost like a core value proposition for RE/MAX of Michigan. How do you collaborate with leadership and speakers and venues and vendors and still keep aligned with the regional vision?
Yes. So definitely, like I mentioned, just the collaboration among our team, but also when we talk about speakers, for instance, education, that is very much intentional. I mean, you think, you look online and there's a list of speakers and here's the topics they present, but we really dive deep with our speakers into, sometimes they're real estate speakers, sometimes they're motivational, inspirational, but we get into the specifics of our culture and RE/MAX and what that means. And one person that really comes to mind, because it's fresh in my mind, is Sarah Wells from Regional Conference this past February, and she was amazing. But I had this one-on-one with her prior to the event, and she was asking me so many great questions about RE/MAX and real estate and agents, and she tied her talk as an Olympian into our network, which was just so amazing. So, like you said, it's very intentional, and we're constantly kind of brainstorming and having those conversations so that we make sure we are providing the value that people have come to know from our regional events.
And I also want to give you kudos here, because I hear the conversations that you have, and it's not just the speaker and the topic, but it's also looking at what's happening in the real estate industry at that time and what our agents and brokers what are the challenges of the day and how to meet that. And I'm just very impressed with how you, over the course of your career with RE/MAX, have been able to pull out the right speakers, the right conversations at the right time for our audience. All right. So in this world of events, is there anything that people would be surprised to know that goes into pulling off a major regional event?
I think, especially for something like regional conference, some might be surprised to know that we are booking and scheduling contracts, 3 to 4 years in advance. I think that's probably a surprise. They think, oh, well, maybe a year out, you're looking at that. And it's like, no, we are looking ahead years in advance for things like that. And kind of like you've mentioned, but just all the hundreds of little details that go into something, every event, and just all the coordination that goes into that, and the intensity of the event week when leading up to it. And
you poor soul.
No, it's a pleasure. I love doing it. I thrive off of that, like
Yes,
I said. So
right.
it energizes me.
It takes a gift.
Yeah, it does. It does. So let's talk venues then. You mentioned you have contracts signed for many years in advance.
Yeah.
You've worked with conference centers, hotels, unique offsite experiences. What makes a venue partnership successful for you?
The main thing is just communication and transparency and having that rapport, especially with the venues that we've been going to for many years. We've had the opportunity to develop those relationships over the years, especially places like the Grand Traverse Resort that we've literally been there for 30 plus years. So, but yeah, it's just having those relationships really allows you to be transparent in your communication with them and just be very open and honest and upfront. And that's what helps the event kind of happen seamlessly, because I can just set expectations and work with them and just honestly just be honest and upfront. Like, this is what needs to happen, and like, you can't. It's just easier to do when you have that built relationship. So,
for sure. And I remember going on site visits with you a few years ago. I mean, I think we were both pregnant at the time.
Yes.
But when you look at a new venue, what are you looking for?
Yeah, honestly, when I go to a venue, I am looking at it through the lens of whatever event we are hosting there. So I just try to put those glasses on of like, what's it going to look like when we come into this space for a speaker? What is the networking or cocktail area going to look like for our reception? How are we moving from one space to the other? Like, is one session here, or are we going down the hall and going over here? It's kind of looking at the agenda of the event and then looking at the venue and kind of trying to piece it all together. Just look at it through the lens of the event, really.
Yeah. And we have agents and brokers from all over Michigan, right? The UP, down south, left, right, you name it, urban, city.
Yeah.
How do you determine what location is best to host an event?
Like I mentioned before, a lot of it is history, right? And our history with those venues. But again, also, Mike is involved in those selections, and we brainstorm and we talk about it together of like, what's been our history? Where have we been before? Where would we like to try maybe that's new? We tend to keep things centrally located when we can, but also on one hand, we look at things of like, where can we go that might be like an experience or a mini getaway, if you will, where we kind of mix business and pleasure, right? So you're going and you're attending and you're bettering yourself and getting that conference experience, but also maybe you're bringing your family or your significant other and making a little trip out of it, a little getaway. So that's kind of a bonus too when we go to places like Mackinac Island.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
For sure.
Always a fan favorite.
Yes, absolutely.
We hear all the time that RE/MAX does events differently. What do you think makes these events stand out?
Oh, gosh, I think there's many things. I think one of the main things is our leadership team and their involvement directly in the event, like during the event. I think you go to different events and, for instance, you see the CEO come on stage and they say a few words and then you don't see them again. That is not the case with our team. I mean, our leadership is on stage, they're off stage, they're mingling, they're presenting, they're all around the event in addition to our staff. And I think that presence is truly what enhances the event and provides a big value there.
That's a very good point. It's one big happy family, all working together to make things happen.
Yes.
One of our most touted, value propositions of being with RE/MAX is our high caliber events. And we spend an incredible amount of time and resources to offer these events to our associates. Does this feel like a pressure from your end, an honor?
A little bit of both. Yeah. Yes. An honor, certainly, that I am entrusted to make these things happen and to put on these events. Pressure because of the high expectations, but pressure provides high quality events. So I think both of those things work together, and I'm happy to feel both of those things, both honor and pressure.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What intentional decisions that you make for these events elevate them beyond just education or networking?
Yes, I'm going to keep saying it, but I'll bring it back again, into education and into speakers. Again, we're very, like you said, intentional. We are very intentional about that. And I think the bar is set high every time we bring a speaker in because we always get great feedback like, oh my gosh, that speaker was amazing. We want to hear from them again. And then it's, got to go back to the drawing board and find the next amazing speaker. So I think collaboration with speakers and having open conversations with them about our network and our agents and the industry is really provides an excellent value for our events. But also when you look at things like regional conference, it has very high production value, especially when you look at something like the gala, but also our opening session. But even when you go to like what we would quote call our smaller events like Fall Sales Conference, we're still looking at things like AV, like, can you hear the speaker? Can you see the speaker? Is there lighting appropriately on the stage? Can you see their presentation? Like, all these things that have to be considered to make sure that what's being presented to the attendees is providing that excellent experience.
The goal is for them to have this amazing experience and not see all of those details, but it's all those details that go into it that make it happen and feel as seamless and professional as it is.
Yes.
If you could articulate it, and this might be difficult, but in your heart of hearts, what feeling or lasting impression do you want a RE/MAX associate to walk away from one of your events?
I think both energized and connected. So energized in different ways, like within their business, within their person, just feeling motivated and like, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go get it. But also our events are so much about bringing our people together and our networking. And we hear that a lot from like our event surveys, like, oh, I loved the networking. I loved getting together with people from across the state. And I think that if somebody can walk away with a new relationship or a deepened relationship, this industry in real estate is all about relationships. So the fact that we provide these events and a chance for people to come together is just incredible value for them.
We have such a strong network. It's amazing to be able to see them all come together. It's like a reunion every time they do.
Love it.
So if we can turn now to you and your heart and why you do what you do, like your job in event planning is high pressure. It's long hours. It's moving targets. I've seen you up and answering emails at weird hours. We'll just call them weird.
Unconventional.
Okay, yes. Why is it worth it to you?
Well, I think like going back, like I said, I'm personally energized by this type of work. Mm-hmm. I visualize the end goal. Like that's what I love doing is I first see what is this going to look like in the end, and then we figure out how we're going to get there in between. So in moments of stress or like just high pressure, mm-hmm. I sometimes just need to reset and say, okay, what are we really working towards here? What's, our main priority? What's our main goal? And then seeing that come together is, again, just what motivates me and energizes me and gets me past those hurdles.
Props to you for having that headspace and being able to acknowledge that and step back and reset yourself and go right back at it like nothing happened.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm painting myself as though I'm this perfect individual, and that is not, that's not the case. There are a lot of things that are going on in this brain. Okay.
Yeah, and bless it. Thank God. Yes. If, let's say you had someone shadow you for a week in the chaos, right? Like your busiest week of the year, what would surprise them the most?
That there are backup plans to the backup plans. There are a lot of what ifs going on in my brain and just planning for, like I said, what if this happens? What if this happens? I just think it's good to be prepared in any type of situation. But also, I think I mentioned before, like the intensity of the event week. There's an energy surrounding it. And I thrive off of that. So, mm-hmm. It's stressful. I'm not trying, again, I'm like, everything's fine. Everything's sunshine and rainbows. But it's true. It's something that I truly get meaning out of.
Yeah. So to give credit where credit is due, all of those backup plans and contingencies that I've seen you build, we've used them. Like things that we've had a right turn and no one would ever know. And yes. it laid out so perfectly because you had thought of this could potentially possibly be an issue. Yeah. What would we do if? And then you've already got a resolution waiting when that if became a reality.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you and I were hired around the same time, mm-hmm. about a little over 8 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. And I vividly recall our first RC together, and it was your first RC directing things. And I remember literally every 10 minutes, there was a new person coming up to you with a wild question. And I sat back and thought to myself, like, how does she do it? What is she on? Because like, there's no way that I would have the capacity to handle what you were handling in that moment, not having handled it before. And so I was very impressed. And I knew from that RC moving, like, this is your wheelhouse. This is what you're meant to do. This is your passion. And it all makes sense, right? But it takes a very special person to appreciate that. And so is there a moment during an event where you step back and you think, this is why we do this?
There are certainly different moments of different intensities, right, at different events. One that always seems to really kind of hit home is, for instance, like at our awards gala for regional conference. I had the pleasure of presenting the Spirit Award, which is for those who don't know, is the highest honor that a sales associate can receive at our regional conference. And it's always someone so deserving. And they always seem to be so surprised, though, when they win. And it's just, I'm up there reading their accolades and all of the things, all the reasons why they are deserving. And it's amazing to see the joy and emotion on their face when they come up to accept that award. And it's just, you give them a hug and you just feel that. And that's always such a wonderful feeling, because it's that really, I feel like, pulls it all together to be like, this is one of the big reasons why we do this, is to honor our people, recognize our people. And yeah,
that's a beautiful memory.
Good feel moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
It makes me love our people.
Yes, me too.
Now, from my perspective, I see you do this profession and I see you do it so well. You don't just execute on events, you elevate events. We have had long philosophical conversations about the smallest things. I remember multiple occasions where we're talking about what type of table do you have in this type of meeting to impact this type of communication. There's a million different details. From your event expertise, what are these types of small details that make such a big difference?
Yes. So we've talked about it before, but like you said, the table setups, and are we all seated in a room together in rows? Are we at tables, round tables together so that we can better talk? It all depends on what the goal is of the session, and the speaker and their style. That's part of it. And things like, I've talked about AV, but things like lighting on the stage. So again, making the speakers lit, like we're at regional conference and we're rehearsing for OGS and we're making sure the stage wash is in the right place, and the uplighting on the back of the stage with the red, white, and blue. And music is always something that I feel provides such a vibe and an energy. Music for coming on stage, but also music in our registration area, because registration is one of the first touch that you have with the event. So I think having a nice, cool playlist going on.
You should sell your playlist. It's amazing.
I think music, lighting, just some of those, again, things that kind of people take for granted, right? But are elements to the event that really elevate it.
They're absorbing the entire experience. And there's the Ashley McCann in the background that has placed that thing in this location to make sure they can have that holistic experience. It's really neat to watch you do it. How do you keep it creative and avoid doing the same event year after year?
Talked about this before, but certainly a team effort. We collaborate, we brainstorm, we go over feedback that we've received, reviewing surveys and pulling things out of that. For instance, with our regional conference the year prior, we got feedback that we wanted more educational sessions. And we were like, okay, how can we, with the way that we've streamlined the structure of this event, how can we pull that in? And so we offered our pre-con for the first time this year, and it went really well. I think overall, people really got value out of it, and we had a packed house. It was sold out pre-con, which was amazing. So again, listening to our people, right? Listening to our feedback, but also looking at industry trends, going to events, going to Michigan Realtors events and other industry events, and drawing ideas from that, going to RE/MAX LLC events. So just trying to keep a pulse on what's happening and what are ways that we can continue to enhance and improve our own events.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we just wrapped regional conference, which is our top event for the year. After regional conference has ended, when do you start thinking about the next year?
Immediately. Yes, no, but I mean, truly. We take a day off, and then we have a very thorough debrief, which is always honestly just great because it's a brain dump of everything from the event. We put it all down, and then we go through that and pull out the pieces that we want to refine for the next year. So certainly we've already started making notes for next year and kind of putting things into motion for that. But also when the current event is done, we are looking at what's next in our event cycle. So which is our charity golf outing coming up in June 16th at Hawk Hollow. Little plug, little shout out to the charity golf outing coming up for CMN. So, yes, certainly always moving forward. And right after that will be Fall Sales Conference. And then what comes after that?
Tech tour.
Tech tour. And then right after that, we roll into another regional conference. It just keeps chugging along. Yes.
It's really incredible to watch you manage all of them because you're handling contracts for this event while this event registration is just about to launch and this event's communication needs to start. Yes. It is such a year-long multi-layer project that you handle so well and with such grace. Mm-hmm. Now, when we look at events, it's almost that it's not the singular event. When we talk about regional conference, it is the experience that these associates have year after year, the relationships that they're building, and the structure and really profound impact that it has for the community that these types of events build. What excites you the most about future RE/MAX of Michigan events?
Well, aside from, looking at what we've done and just continuing to revive and revitalize and improve and make things better every time, I think we have tried to really dive deep into Children's Miracle Network and the Miracle Home Program. And so I'm excited to see that continue to grow. We have, of course, incorporated into our regional conference every year, and that is especially impactful because we bring a family and we host a family, and it's always so wonderful to have them there and to see with our own eyes, right, the impact of CMN. But also we're trying to weave it into our other events. Of course, we do the charity golf outing, but also at the Fall Sales Conference, and the Miracle Home Program in general is just such a wonderful opportunity for agents to give back to their local community and kids in their community. And I'm excited to see how we can continue to involve that in events, but also how I can bring that to the region as a whole.
Yes, I really appreciate that. It's the RE/MAX way in a way. All of our agents are so deeply invested in their community. Yes, we host events for them to educate them at the professional level and make sure they have all of the tools and technology and education and networking they can have possible at their fingertips. But what they do is so personal and it's so local. And when they are stopping to support out of their essentially their paychecks to support Children's Miracle Network, it makes me step back and look at what they're doing in their communities and how there's so much depth there and that you've got a passion for it. I've heard you talk about Children's Miracle Network. You bring me to tears every year that we showcase them at regional conference. Oh my gosh. It's a full circle moment to watch the hard work of the agents and the events that you're bringing together and the reason and causes that we do the things that we do. It's really a beautiful thing. So well done on all that you do there.
Yes. So Ashley, thank you so much for pulling back the curtain today. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to leave us with?
Just that I am so happy to be here and be part of the RE/MAX family. I absolutely love it here. And thank you for having me as part of your team. It's an honor to work with you all. And thank you for having me on the podcast.
You're the best of the best, Ashley.
Yes. And, it's easy to attend an event. And it's another thing entirely to understand the leadership and the intentionality and the heart that goes behind making those events a reality. So to everyone listening, the next time you walk into a RE/MAX of Michigan event, just know that there's purpose behind every single detail. Someone has thoroughly thought about that, and that someone is Ashley. So give her a high five when you see her. But thank you for tuning into this episode of Recharge, and we'll see you at the next event and the next episode. Thanks.